Hello, boozers, and welcome to another edition of Booze Chatter. Today, I've got a little special thing going on. Yes, it is Alberta Beer Week here, and I have been slowly but surely checking out things around here. Um, Now, unfortunately, because of the fact that I work, trying to get reviews in for Alberta Beer Week has been a little bit of a pain in the butt. So, that's being said, I do have an Alberta beer over here that I will be reviewing, and we will be talking about a few things here. There's quite a few things to mention today, so we'll be a bit. So if you guys are ready, I think we'll get started as soon as I pimp the hell out of this, and we go from there. Oh, so yeah. I think it's going to be one of those days where I possibly will be, geez, great, having fun because I can't post this. Awesome. Thank you ever so much, Facebook. Sorry, folks, Facebook is being a pain in the butt. I'm unable to post or share my stuff. That's awesome. Thank you very much, Facebook, for not allowing me to pimp out my own show on there. Yeah, so pretty much what I've got going on here today is, why are you blocking my stuff? All right. Well then, this is going to be fun. So, folks, I've just been informed that I'm been blocked on Facebook and I can't do things. So that's awesome. Yeah, I can't post a link of YouTube, a live thing. Well, that just delayed me a little bit more. Thanks ever so fucking much. Um, so yeah, what I've got today is the fact that, well, give me a second. I'm trying something here at the same time. I hate troubleshooting, but I'm troubleshooting. And yeah, there we go. So let's close that up. Huh. Interesting. So I can't post links now. Yeah, you cannot post links on Facebook. What the hell, Facebook? What the hell? So I can't post things about YouTube. Awesome. So basically today I have got from Goat Locker Brewing. It is their second beer of the series. It's called the Fainting Goat. The Bock is a traditional German-style lager with a pronounced malt character, and is also the German word for goat. With this Bock, our second brew, we pay tribute to the particular type of goat that has a condition called myotonia congeniata. When started, this goat's muscles contract for about 10 seconds, causing it to fall over and giving the appearance of fainting. We humans also share the condition, but luckily we were able to relax our muscles right away to avoid ending up upside down with our legs in the air. Well, at least there's stories behind it. That's a good thing. Yeah, so pretty much it is a Bock. It is pretty much German style, so it fits in with Oktoberfest. It's an Alberta beer, so it fits in with Alberta Beer Week. And yeah, I think I got everything covered here. I'm pretty sure I do. So, and I've got a ton of watermarks. Excuse me for a second. This is going to sound different. I really got to wash these my hands soon. So as you see, it's a sort of like very small cloudy appearance. The smell, You have a weedy smell to it. Grain. It smells pure and clean. It smells like a German beer. The taste. Cheers, guys. That's an easy drinking beer. Delicious. It's got some flavor to it. You do have you do have a little bit of a malt flavor, a little bit of hop, some grain in there. You got everything that you actually would want to have in there. It's actually quite good. I'm quite impressed with that. So honestly, I would give that about a 3.75 out of 5. That's actually a really good beer, coming in at 5.6%, if I remember correctly. Yep, 5.6%. That's actually a good beer. I've seen and had better, but yeah, overall, um, it's one of those things where I actually, yeah, I would drink a 6-pack of this easily. Very much drink a 6-pack of this quite easily. All right, what do we have on the docket today? Well, today I have got something which it may or may not cause some hurt feelings. It may or may not cause some issues between people. It may or may not cause a lot of different things. But at the same point in time, it's something that really, really needs to be said. Why is that? Because this has been going on for a couple of weeks. It's died down a little bit, but it's going to happen again. So we're going to bring it up. All right. So September 21st, there was a few things that happened. Or I guess let's go back to September 20th. There's a couple of things that happened between a blogger and a brewery. The brewery in question is Tool Shed. The blogger, his name is Ryan. Now, I don't know everything that led up to it. There's a lot of different things that has led up to it. He said, she said stuff. So I'm not going to get into I'm not going to get into all of it. However, it's escalated to the point where the brewery fired the blogger. Now, the blogger does not, and I repeat, does not work for the brewery. So they're pretty much firing a friend. They blocked him. They were upset with him because he said stuff, excuse me, and they really just didn't like what he was saying. And so they pretty much made it public because Ryan was making his stuff public, that he was no longer welcome in their brewery. Is this something that should have been done by the brewery to make it public? You know, there's ifs, ands, or buts about it. Yes, there is. No, there isn't. There might be, there might not be. There's both sides of the story on this. Was Ryan upset? Yes. Did he get over it? Probably. But I'm sure this is going to still peter out a little bit now and then. And it brought up a lot of stuff between the breweries and the bloggers, or the reviewers for that matter. And my take on it is a little different. I'm going neutral on this. I would love to say yes or no because I've got my own opinions. I'm entitled to my own opinions. But because I say in my own opinion, according to Tool Shed, it does not mean that I'm allowed to say things the way I say them, which is understandable. You say them in a way that it doesn't hurt people, or you say them in a way which is constructive. Constructive criticism is something that I enjoy to do. I really enjoy constructive criticism unless there's something out there that is god-awful. Minhas and I, we don't like each other. At least I don't like them. They have not, they've responded in kind a little bit because they told me to get my facts straight and everything. in some of my stuff, and we've had our battles. But at the same point in time, I've had their stuff. I know what their stuff is, and I don't like their ethics. I don't like the way they run their business, even though it is a brilliant way of running them. I'm not going to lie. It is a brilliant way they're doing it because they are getting the people to like their beers. They are getting the things that they need to keep operating and running. But I don't like the way they're doing it because they are not doing it in a way that feels very honest in a way, which is fine. That's just my opinion, of course. And if they don't like me for it and they fire me for it, whatever, let them, because I'm not heartbroken about that. I really honestly feel that they, as a brewery, are not doing things ethically right. But again, I've always maintained that. The Boxer Watermelon review that we had, we dumped that down the drain because it was not a beer. We disowned it as a beer, and we still disown it as a beer to this very day because it was more like a cooler, a Jolly Rancher cooler. There was no beer taste in there whatsoever. Yet they're claiming that there was beer in it. The instructions, basically not the instructions, but the ingredients on their labels: beer, this, that, the other thing. That's all they have. And I get it. I honestly get it. The fact that this is the way they do it, I really understand that. I understand that's the way that the market that they're going for. But me personally, it's not for me. For other people, it is. Great, awesome, good for you. But I will let it known that I don't like it. And I feel if they're doing something wrong, like charging $4 for a 4-ounce drink when their 6-packs are only $13, I'm going to call them on it because that is not right to the public. That right there is pretty much just wrong. But that's just me. Again, and if they fire me over for something like that, that's fine. I've maintained that people, if they like them, great, they like them. But this is why I don't like them. Now, the issue between Tool Shed and Ryan escalated so much that Tool Shed made an announcement that you're fired on Twitter. And that's fine. They made that announcement and they went public. Unfortunately, because of that, they received some praise and they received some lashbacks on it. And I can see why they've received some praise and I can see why they've received some lashbacks. There's a lot of different reasons why you should and should not be doing this. But yeah, sorry, but I mean, well, I've talked to Graham, and I've mentioned I've got to know him. I have not gotten to know Ryan, but at the same point in time, it's something I haven't done yet. So I can't say if this is correct or not. I can't say if Ryan deserved to be fired publicly, but that puts a little fear into a lot of other bloggers out there, uh, myself included, because of the fact that it makes you sort of go, well, what can you say and what can you not say? For me, I like to say what I want to say. I will honestly give a honest opinion of what I think of the beer. That may cause issues. They might get upset over that. But at the same point in time, I will tell you what I feel is wrong. I will tell you what I feel is absolutely wrong. For what was going on, from what Graham was saying or what Tool Shed was saying, because I can't guarantee it was Graham, it was under the Tool Shed name, was that Ryan was bad mouthing all of Alberta breweries and going off on them. That, again, hearsay. I have not seen it. I've tried to search up Brian's stuff, and I haven't really seen much evidence of that myself. And he was asking for evidence. Fair enough. And I just wanted to, like, for that, I can see it. I really can. It's good. I'm being mocked on my Facebook page because I'm saying I'm live, and I can't put the link up there. So it's a touch and go situation, and I'm going to break this down. We're going to look at what someone said, and we're going to look at one other blogger and what he put down. So let's look at the Tool Shed. So we got Tool Shed fires blocker. So Ryan, you're fired. And I'm going to read this out. It's 8 simple rules, and this is what he goes with. Dear Ryan, we regret to inform you that we have unfortunately had to make a hard decision to let you go. Hard to let someone go when you know, they're pretty much free. They don't work for you. But that's fine. They're saying it as you're fired. Whatever. It's a hard time out there in Alberta these days, and Lord knows our customers have gotten us where we are today. You can imagine how hard it has been on us to have to make this very difficult decision. Fair enough. It is a difficult decision. Stuff happened. Shit was said. Great. Further, we'd like to offer you 8 rules of being a beer critic as unsolicited advice should you ever wish to be a consumer of another local brewery in the future. Now, the reason why I said that, because apparently, again, hearsay, Ryan has badmouthed all the Alberta breweries around. Fair enough. Whatever. That's something I don't know. I can't guarantee it, and I can't say anything about that. So it's one of those ones where it's like, all right, he said, she said bullshit. So the rule number 1 is don't be an asshole. Saying you're just being honest is not an excuse for being an asshole. If you're having trouble understanding this concept, the great Louis C.K. can assist you here. All right, fair enough. Fair enough. I can see that. Again, I have not seen what he said to provoke this. There has not been any evidence presented. There's been some stuff, but not a lot, which is fine. Again, he said, she said. Your opinion is not necessarily right because you are on social media. Any arrogance derived from simply being a social media critic or on Tapped or Twitter is unfounded and poor form. South Park Season 19, Episode 4, You're Not Yelping, can assist you with this concept. I haven't watched that yet, so I can't exactly say anything on that. But at the same point in time, that is not necessarily true. People perceive other people in different ways. One person can perceive you as arrogant, one person can perceive you as honest. It all comes down to the way you pronounce it or the way you actually conduct yourself in a professional and personal matter. This is kind of along the borderlines of not being professional in a brewery sense, but it is also the way that they present themselves, and they've done this in the past before, not necessarily in this degree, but also gone and said, I like this stuff. For example, the taxes that they've said, they've gone and said all this stuff about the taxes and how great it is. Great, honest. That's their honest opinion about it. Now, see, this is the thing. Don't be an asshole. And your opinion is not necessarily right because you're on social media. Now, their opinion on all this stuff could not necessarily be right as well, depending on who perceives it. Let's continue. Number 3, respect the brewery. Most breweries came into existence because of real people. Well, Ryan's a real person too, just to throw that out there. with husbands and wives and kids and pets. These are actual living, breathing people like you and me. Many of these people have 3 mortgages and lay awake every night fearful in tears from reality of the price paid for following their dreams of providing a very personal, handmade craft creation of the world. These breweries, nay, people, cherish and thrive on feedback. They're not huge fans of entitlement or arrogance. Try to imagine you have a baby and in a beauty pageant and someone just told you, hey man, that's an ugly baby you got there. All right, you know what? That's fair. But at the same point in time, again, if you throw this stuff out here too, you're going to get a lot of feedback about how you deal with things. It's going to happen. So this is understandable because I do respect the hell out of breweries that do this stuff. I drink the beer and I give reviews and honest opinions. I spend my hard-earned money to do this. I actually go out and spend money to review this because there's a lot of things I do not get for free. So my respect also is needed as well. So yes, the way you perceive yourself should be in an honest and very constructive way of doing it. You can't go out and say, I hate this brewery because you're a piece of shit. Well, why are you a piece of shit? Well, because you do this. Okay, fair enough. You actually explain why they're a piece of shit. I hate Minhas because the way they treat the public. That might be their hard-earned money and everything else like that, but they've turned it into a corporate business, which in turn does not apply to the people. It in turn applies to the money that they are trying to make off of the people one way or another. That is my constructive criticism about it. I have seen the owner wander around with his friends inside the beer, the one in April, giving free samples to his friends and having a big lineup of people who are paying $4 for a 4-ounce drink. That kind of drove me nuts because that is not exactly the business reality of things. They may have had to pay half of what they made to the people at the end of the day, but at the same point in time, they walked away with a very healthy margin that you should not be walking away with. You should be walking away with an understanding that people enjoy your stuff because of the fact that it's good, and you should not be charging that kind of money for it. But again, my opinion. I am totally understanding of all these other breweries. Big Rock have come a long way, very big in the industry. They are now in Vancouver and Ontario. They also have a family background and also a community background in Calgary. They actually had a brewery in Whistler at one point in time that they had to close down because it didn't do so well. But now they're back in Vancouver. There's a lot of history behind that. Tool Shed started in BC, moved it to Alberta because they're able to actually do this now. And they built it up from there. They've grown. They're actually helping out the community. They've let Far Brewing brew in their brewery so while they're getting their brewery going. So they're a community. They actually are helping out the community as well and helping out fellow brewers. They've actually sponsored a lot of things. The World Coffee Press, whatever it was, they were there for that when I was doing a tour. They've done a few other things. They've got if you look up Tool Shed, you'll see that they actually host a few other things too inside their brewery. As well, they also have done charity work. Darth Wiener, who's a gamer, actually went in and made a beer, and while he was making it, was getting donations for the Children's Hospital. They allowed him to do that and do it live so that they can actually give back to the community. There's a lot of things that I do respect about breweries that do that kind of stuff, and that's a great thing. But if their beer's not good, I will still call them on it. Just saying. Number 4, beer is a journey, not a destination. this is a little bit of a contradiction. No one ever in the industry of time ever tried an IPA as their very first beer in life and say, hey, that's delicious. We're all on our beer journey, and our palates have evolved differently. This rule can also be read as light beer is not shit, or is not shit because you currently enjoy 3-year-old barrel-aged sours. Again, comes down to personal taste. And it can be a destination. I'm planning at some point in time to make my reviews a destination where I can earn a lot of feedback. So, and this is also something that I feel like, I really do feel like I started out drinking Molson Canadian. I will fully admit that. I am old enough to say that I've drank Molson Canadian, Miller Genuine Draft, Coors Light, Coors, Labatt's. I have drank macro brewery stuff because there was no such thing as craft beer at this point in time. It hadn't made it across Europe to us where we got to enjoy it ourselves and start making it ourselves. There was such thing called a Bavarian cooler, which I got shit-faced off when I was 18, underage, by the way. And that was unheard of, but such a delicious drink. I loved having something a little bit out of the norm. So yeah, okay. It is a journey. It is an experimentation. People may not know it. You can turn around to someone and say, here, drink this, and you can find the closest thing you can to a lager, to an ale, to anything else, and let them drink it. But then afterwards, let them know that it is a craft beer. It was a journey for us for reviewing it because we've never heard of craft beer. The very first beer I've ever reviewed was a pizza beer. That's what got me started on doing this because it was unique. So yes, it's a journey, but it's also a destination because I am destined to make money off this one way or another. But I probably won't. So it'll still be a journey to get to that destination. So it's a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B. And I also like to help people get to that destination of learning about craft beer too. So yes, it is a destination as well. Beer is meant to bring people together, number 5, and not tear them apart. I'm going to read this and I'm going to give my thoughts on it. If you find yourself together with great people enjoying beers, stories, and good times, you are winning. Pound winning. Social media, folks. Pound is no longer a symbol for what you want on your phone. If you find yourself in constant Twitter battles, being referred to as a troll, or having parody Twitter accounts made about you to mock your behavior, you are off the path. Well, yes and no. Look at all the famous people out there. Look at how many people try to mock them. But look at their path. Their path is the same thing. They get to be famous and wonderful, and they have their people that love them, and they have the people that hate them and troll them. It's kind of tears them apart. Beer can do the same thing. Look at what happens when you bring a bunch of people together that don't know each other, have different styles, have different attitudes, have different ways of doing things, and get them drunk. You'll have people that'll be crying in the corner. You'll have people that'll be making love to lampposts. You'll have people trying to hit on the bartender, even though they're male and they really like females because they can't see straight and they think it's a female bartender. You'll have people dropping gloves and beating the piss out of people. Beer kind of does tear people apart. It can bring them together in the right sort of social atmosphere, but it also can tear them apart too. And also can lead to jail time, drinking and driving, and all the other good stuff like that. It can happen. It does happen. We all know this. So it's it's a little bit of a double-edged sword on that one. But what breweries are trying to do is bring people together. That is what they're trying to do, and they're trying to make it so that they're bringing people together to enjoy their beers. Reviewers are not trying to tear people apart. They're trying to give honest opinions in a way that is a very social way of doing it. Um, Again, I review beers. I say what's good. I say what's bad. I have had people come to me and say, "Can you give us a good review?" Sure, if you got a good product. If you do not have a good product, I will state reasons why it's not a good product for me. It might be for someone else, but for me, it won't be. I cannot state that something, I cannot be an honest reviewer without giving my opinion. So it might tear them apart and it might cause issues. But again, you have to be constructive in the way you do things. No matter what, you have to be constructive. I've tried so hard to do that. If you watch my 24 Drunken Days of December, 3 years in a row, well, except for one because I wasn't doing the reviewing, I was doing the filming, I was constructive in my ways. Last year, there were some really good beers in there. However, the packaging sucked balls. A lot of people hated it. I hated it too, and a lot of people were upset because they had to find out what was going on. It sucked, yes, and I understood that, but they didn't have to jump down the throats of the people that made it because that wasn't fair to them. They tried really hard to get things out on a timely manner, to get things to you, to have an advent calendar that you would enjoy. And that is a year-round process. People don't understand that. It's a year-round process, and you have to work on a schedule. Got to get this done, got to get this done, got to get this done, and get this all in there. And then we have to ship it out to almost all of Canada. And now they're going down the States too, which is very ballsy, but they've got another thing for that. And that right there is a lot of work. They put a lot of time and effort, and the people saying, I'm not going to try this next year because your packaging was shit. How are the beers? The beers were amazing. The packaging was shit. But you enjoyed the beers. It was a faulty packaging. We understood that. We've let people know we're sorry. We're sorry. But at the same point in time, if you want something for free, I can't quite give that to you because, yeah, we figured this out afterwards. My packaging blew apart. It absolutely blew apart, and I was upset. I made a video of it, me opening the packaging, and I made a video of it, but I didn't post it because I was actually upset at that time, and I had to sit back and go, okay, why did the packaging not work? So I emailed them. I said, did you have it on the back? And I said, yes, I laid it down. I said, that's why, because it shows that you have to keep it upright. Oops, my mistake. But other people didn't, and yes, packaging sucked on that one, but they have remedied that, which, yeah, will lead me to something else later on this month. All right. Local beer is always the best. This is where I'm going to have a little bit of a problem. Local beer, absolutely, without question, unequivocally, is the best. Anyone who says otherwise is an obvious twat waffle. Yep. And you said that you want to be constructive and you shouldn't call people out on things. Yet here you are calling people out on stuff, saying local beer is the best, and if not, you guys are fucking stupid. Or twat waffles. Sorry, twat waffles. Guys, bad form. Like our Quebec import, we all like our Quebec imports, Belgian quads, and Vermont double IPAs. However, trashing grassroots local breweries is never a good form, Any negative reviews of local breweries should be seen as a support should be seen as supportive and encouraging. Comments may include not bad for your first batch or looking forward to what these guys brew once they get their feet under them. That part I will agree with. Goat Locker, their second beer is still above average, but it's getting better. Their first one was average. I said that. But they're brand new. They're learning what they can do, what they can't do. But at the same point in time, they put stories on the back of their things, which make it kind of interesting. They brewed out of, are they still brewing? Yep. They're still brewing out of Dead Frog in Aldergrove, BC. So technically speaking, they are not a local brewery yet. So does this make them a twat waffle for going outside of BC? Possibly, according to that. But at the same point in time, I am not a true Albertan. I live in BC. So my hometown is BC. I have lived here almost as long as I've lived in BC. Still got another 10 years to go. And the problem with that is my local is Victoria, BC. That's where I grew up. I consider that my home. So locally to me, I like to get my BC beers. That's local to me. I still love my Alberta beers and I still support them. That I will do too. So in a sense, yes. But my local is BC. That's my go-to. Parallel 49, Phillips, Moon Underwater, big ones right there. Hoyne, God, Hearthstone, all those other guys. They are ones that I will support as well because they are local to me. This, I can support you guys too, but my bigger support goes to my local area, where I grew up, my home. Does that make me a twat waffle? Does it really? I still buy this stuff. I still love the fact that I can get BC beers cheap because of the old taxes and everything here, because it's a nice change to have my local beers cheap here. That's the thing. So I'm supporting them too, but I'm also supporting the Alberta economy because I'm buying it in Alberta. So I'm kind of supporting both. Does that make me a twat waffle? Calling people twat waffles because they don't support local is not exactly something you want to do. That right there is almost a form of bullying. That right there can be perceived as bullying if you're calling people twat waffles if they won't support local. I still support the guys. I still do tours. I still do my reviews, and I still will tell you if the beer is good, bad, or indifferent. I still support BC. I will go do tours there, and I still will tell them if the beer is good, bad, or different. I have what I like to call a dual local support. I love the fact that Big Rock is out there doing these things. They support local, but they also support the community and everything else like that. But they also are in BC too. But they're bringing in BC beers into Calgary, which is going to be a review for another time because, yeah, that's coming up soon. Anyways, it's local beer is not always the best. It can be, depending on where you live. Saskatchewan, look at let's for example, let's look at beer versus, let's say, football, hockey terms, hockey teams. Yes. I am a Vancouver Canucks fan. You can't see it behind here, but I am totally a Vancouver Canucks fan. My WHL team is the Victoria Royals, but at the same point in time, many years ago, I worked for the Calgary Flames. Okay. I loved NHL so much that I wanted to work in a true NHL environment, and I did. Because I lived in Victoria, I couldn't work in the Vancouver area because that'd be a lot of travel back and forth, and I hated to live in Vancouver. I still will support my local team, which is the Vancouver Canucks. My second team is also the Calgary Flames because I like to see them get further as well. It's another local team. But I will choose Vancouver, the Vancouver Canucks, over the Calgary Flames. And in fact, in 2004, when Vancouver was playing Calgary in the first round of the playoffs, and they were here, I was working. Which team did I support? Underneath my Calgary Flames gear I had for concessions, I had my Vancouver Canucks t-shirt on. I wore my jersey and walked into the Flames arena with my jersey on and actually had a meeting because we had to have a meeting with Ken King. But I did take my jersey off out of respect, but I still was a Canucks fan. But part of me was a little confused. I wanted the Canucks to advance, but I also wanted the Flames to advance because that means more money and tips for me if they make it to the next round of the playoffs. So it was a money versus fandom. Same kind of thing here, money versus fandom. What will it be? Like I said, I still will support my local breweries because they do some amazing stuff. If you go out, Pink Boot Society for Tool Shed, they've done the goes for the Pink Boot Society. Congratulations! I supported them on that, and I bought a 6-pack because of the fact that it was going to a charity to help out female brewers in Alberta or in Canada, I think it was. But still, it was to help them out. Supported that. I support charities more than anything else. You show me a good cause, I'll support it. So yeah, it is not always the best. It depends on the personal opinion. Because you run a brewery here does not mean you have to stuff down everyone's throat that local is best. It's not always local is best. And again, does that make me a twat waffle? I'm just throwing that out there. Get in the ring. Now, I have Guns N' Roses get in the ring with this. Every time I read this one, get in the ring, motherfucker. Get in the ring. As in any industry, anyone who trash talks must be willing to perform the trash talked offense better. See Theodore Roosevelt's The Man in the Arena. Memorize this quote. You know, yes and no. If you want to trash talk someone, you have to have reasons behind trash talking. You have to have other ways to do it. Again, Minhas. I have my reasons for trash talking them. I really do. I really believe that they are not producing beer, real beer. Honest to God, real beer. Their Mountain Crest I had, I just about threw it up because it was so horrible. Their Boxer Watermelon, horrible. I have got a gluten-free beer in my fridge that I really don't want to drink, but someone gave it to me, so I have to review it. And I don't think it's going to be nice. Boxer root beer. I gave my reasons why it was horrible. I showed on camera why it was horrible. So yes, I got in the ring with them, and I still am in the ring with them because I will not back down. These guys, I feel, are not a true brewery in any sense, macro, micro, or other. They're out there to make money the cheapest way possible. But with other ones, I will say what is wrong. The porter, the barrel-aged porter from Big Rock. Or not the porter, it was the golden or red ale. It was an ale. Dark amber. That's what it was. Sorry, took me a minute. Barrel-aged dark amber. It was scary. And the way they said that they put hops in it, it just didn't taste right. And I explained that to him. But at the same point in time, I said it was still makes you want to drink more because it confuses you. And it did. I got in the ring on that one because I respect Big Rock. And I don't like giving bad, harsh reviews unless I have to. I give constructive reviews. Again, there's that word, constructive. Always give constructive stuff. It is a great thing to do. It's just beer, and don't take it too seriously. I'm just a reviewer. I don't take it seriously. We're not saving lives here. Depends. Maybe beer might save lives one day. And yes, technically you are, because if you're buying beer, you're buying bulk, you're buying the bulk barley, you're buying the wheat, you're buying the water, you're buying everything else like that. You're supporting jobs down the line. So yes, you are technically saving lives. We're sharing good times with good people over good beer. Try to enjoy the good stuff, forget about the bad stuff, and learn to take a joke. All lives problems can be solved over beer. Now, if you find yourself hating this list, come have a beer and laugh with us. Well, I'm not hating the list, okay? I understand where they're coming from. I just hate the way it was perceived with some of the stuff. It is not easy. It is really not easy seeing this kind of stuff because, yes, it's if you hate the list, yet you turned around and you fired someone publicly after they were bad mouthing you. You stooped down to their level, okay? You stooped down to their level and brought it out publicly, but you included a bunch of other people as well. That's where I took a little issue with this. You made it about not just him, but about bloggers and reviewers and everybody else on top of that. That's kind of threw out a little bit of a warning flag because I am a reviewer. We all know this. I have over 300 beers up that I reviewed, plus whatever else I have on not reviewed or what I've written about. I have a history of drinking beer, and if you can't tell, then maybe you should understand that this body here is not from drinking a lot of sugar. Only part of it. So you kind of threw out this thing for everyone to see. And honestly, I get where you're coming from. There's some good guidelines there. But I'm also going to read something else here. So we've got a counterpoint here. And I'm going to bring this up because it was the best one that I thought was written to what Tool Shed said. Okay. I'm the only one home and there's noise coming in within my house. This is awesome. So the other one is from the Daily Beer. Jason Von Rassel. If you're a craft beer fan in Alberta, these are good times. The province has more than 40 working breweries and many popping up in small communities in every corner of the province. This is true. We have got a ton of stuff coming out. I am unable to keep up. Thanks, guys, in a positive way. Thank you. There's plenty to celebrate as we mark the second annual Alberta Beer Week. Happy Alberta Beer Week, by the way, folks. Welcome to it. This is the last part of it, including the fact that we've reached the point where this province's flourishing beer industry warrants a 9-day party. Everything is awesome, right? Pretty much. With apologies to Alberta's own Tegan and Sarah, everything is not awesome. Yes, Tegan and Sarah wrote the song. They are Albertan, and that was a good play on words. Congratulations. Their things are mainly awesome, but success and expansion also bring growing pains. It's inevitable. Oh my God, I can't pronounce that. And I'm not even going to try anymore because, yeah, I need more beer. The end of minimum production quotas that stunted growth so many years, so for so, I've read a lot. To end to end of minimum production quota that stunted growth for so many years, unleashed a deluge of new breweries in Alberta. Some of these newcomers are outstanding. Many are very good, and some are promising, but still finding their feet. See, positive feedback right there, constructive criticism. And he actually used the line from Tool Shed saying, finding their feet. Um, there are a few that are bad. So bad, in fact, I've wondered a few times recently how they can't know it, or if they know a beer is terrible, why did they sell it anyways? Minhas? Because they still have the support of everybody else, so they keep making the same shit, different pile. So, so yeah, we got that, and it's here. I'm just gonna post it in chat here. Sorry, give me a second. You guys can read along if you want. I know there's only one of you, but there might be more later. Yada yada yada. Um, so at this point, I want to be clear. I'm not talking about subjective commentary on how hoppy a beer should be or geeking out about whether it is extreme enough. I'm talking about infected beer and beer with identifiable flaws being packaged and sold to an unsuspecting public by some Alberta's more recent entries into the beer market. Okay. Now, there has been some apparently, and I haven't tried them yet, and I'm not going to, and I won't name them yet because I have not tried them, so it would be unfair to me to do that. Recent experience tells me local isn't always better. Maybe one day it will be, but we're not there yet. No, we're not, because we're still in the infant stage of growing, unlike BC, Ontario, and Quebec, who have got a shit ton of breweries, as well as the states who've got a shit ton of breweries. I've been thinking on how to broach the subject when this happened. Graham Sherman of Tool Shed wrote a blog post about firing a consumer. The target was Ryan Bolin, a knowledgeable, passionate beer guy who has been outspoken on social media about Alberta, good, bad, and ugly. He gives his honest opinion, and that's his opinion. I get it. I don't dwell on the controversy other to say that I like both these guys. Ryan's approach to criticism differs from mine. I've told him the same thing, and so I don't think it's offside to say so here. But he's not a hater. Likewise, Graham's response to criticism in this case wasn't the tact I take. Again, I agree on both points. I agree. If nothing else, this tempest in a brew kettle opens the door for a discussion about relationships between Alberta's craft brewers and a public I loosely call the beer writing community, bloggers, tweeters, and enthusiasts with a platform, or soapbox, whatever you want to call it, as well as the public. And here we are. It's brewery versus brewer versus everybody else. Understandable. Um, as this may sound harsh, but I'm being deliberately blunt for effect. The latter two groups don't owe the industry anything. Drinking local beer is virtuous, but not mandatory. Agreed. And it is a loyalty that must be earned. It doesn't come with the territory. Again, agree. This, like I said, I'm agreeing on a lot of this stuff. There, I can't fault that. I really can't, because that's my same opinion about it. But I said it in longer form when I was reading Graham's stuff. Um, There's a common misconception that the writing community, the bloggers and opinion markers, are just part of an apparatus that needs to support the industry. There are certainly bloggers and boasters who do that, but it is entirely their choice to use the platform in that way. The only group whose actual job is to support the industry is the industry. Again, agree. I don't get paid for doing this. I sit here and do this on my own free time. I don't have a lot of free time, so I do this on my free time because I enjoy doing this. And I enjoy the beers that I like to review when I review them. I get that many craft brewers have poured years of effort and usually a lot of money into making a go of their dream. And as bloggers, we've poured many a dollar into drinking it because the fact that we have taxes to pay, which is more now, as well as a lot of other things. So we put our hard-earned money into giving our own opinion as well. They deserve to be treated with respect, and a writer shouldn't trifle with an entrepreneur's livelihood by publishing something that is malicious or untrue. Agree. Fully agree with that one. I am fully in agreement with that one as well. But it's unreasonable for a craft brewer to believe blood, sweat, tears, and a hefty loan exempt from criticism. Here we go. Consumers constantly make choices and render opinions that impact the livelihoods of millions of people within the products they buy, the stores they patronize, and the services they pay for. How is any beer different? Answer, it's not. It says it there. And it's true. I support a lot of local liquor stores because they bring in stuff that I like. I support breweries because they actually bring in stuff that I enjoy or make stuff that I enjoy. I also have an opinion where I spend my hard-earned money, and I do spend a lot of money on beer to give my opinion and share it with everybody else. So I put my blood, sweat, tears, and cash into giving my opinion. I do have examples of Alberta breweries making bad. Do I have examples of Alberta breweries making bad beer? Can I name names? Yes, I have, and I will continue to. Anyone who follows me on Twitter on Tap will know I've had problems with some Alberta beers I've recently tried. I thought about mentioning them here, but it seemed unfair to single them out because they're not the only ones. Agreed. Absolutely agreed, but I signaled out Minhas, and I still will single them out because, yeah, it's just me. So, um, ugh, this is where, yeah. Is it fair to criticize new breweries? Not always, but they don't deserve a free pass either. Opening your doors to the public should be a sign you've made something worth paying for. Consumers are spending money and not handing out participation ribbons. And as an old school fucker like I am, I do not believe in participation ribbons. I absolutely do not. I am a person that believes that if you make something good, you should be rewarded for it. If you make something bad, you should be punished for it or told about it. It is something that happens. People critic restaurants all the time. People critic other things all the time. I give good reviews for stuff. I give bad reviews for stuff because, again, my opinion, I put my money into it and I want my money to give me something good. And it's acceptable and even desirable for new breweries to go through what one of my beer buddies awesomely called a calibration phase, when recipes get tweaked and otherwise decent beers get better through small changes. But that's different from releasing flawed or infected beers. Agreed again. Consumers should be unwitting guinea pigs while a new brewery figures out how to properly sanitize the equipment or scale up a homebrew recipe. That's yes and no, okay? If you have a test group and you bring in a test group to try your beers and to give honest opinions, that would be a good one. It's like in the IT world, you have different phases of bringing things into the public. You have your programmers which start to program. You have your testers which test the program and let the programmers know what's wrong. And then after it goes through Q&A and everything goes properly, then you bring it and release it out to the public. This is kind of the same way. You should be doing a Q&A with a public group, not your own brewers or people within the brewery, because they can be criticized, they can give criticism, but they can also feel that they have to give an honest opinion because of the fact that they don't want to be fired. So you make a good Q&A group that can actually give you an honest opinion about stuff. Is it bad? Is it this? But you also have to have it over a period of time, not right away where it's good. 2 weeks down the road, you could have it and be infected somehow, and then you've already released it to the public, but everyone said it was good here, but it's now infected because they missed that 2 week period. Different things you have to do and look at, and I agree with that. Now, using "we're new" as an excuse or for a flawed beer also insults many Alberta breweries that have made solid and in some cases outstanding beer from the moment they opened their doors, more often than not. These are breweries that spent a lot of time and money making test batches that would never be sold to the public. There you go. See, test batches. Just to make sure that they were ready for prime time. See that right there. That's exactly what you need to do. You need to have a Q&A group. So, is this acceptable? Yes, it can be. Remember, let's see. Remember that next time someone tells you a new brewery can't afford to dump a bad batch down the drain. Bullshit. It says it in there. I'm not saying it, but I like that word. Bullshit. Uh, very early in its existence, Ripstone Creek dumped a batch of wit beer after something went wrong, despite the fact that the brewery had heavily promoted it. It must have hurt both in terms of the experience and wasted effort. But Ribstone's owners figured the short-term pain was better than risking the long-term damage to its reputation from selling bad beer. The brewery recently disposed of a batch of its Lone Bison IPA for the same reason, showing the owners haven't gotten complacent. Now, there is also issues out there. This is also something that's actually happened with a lot of other breweries. I was touring Parallel 49, and this is partially correct. Okay. When I toured Parallel 49 2 years ago, it was just shortly after their 2 year anniversary, I asked them a question. Has there been any beer that they did not like? The answer was yes. However, they had to, by law, bottle it and sell it. Because of the fact that they promoted it through the BC Liquor Board, they actually had to sell it, but they were not happy with their batch. It did not taste the way they wanted it to, and it did not feel the way that they wanted it to. It was one of their cherries that they did, and I can't remember the exact one it was, but the BC Lottery Board, or Liquor Board, it might be lottery as well, because I think they put lottery in there as well, they told them that they are not allowed to dump it because of a legally binding contract. They actually had to sell it, and they weren't happy with that. They actually had to turn around and sell a bad batch of beer because of the fact that the government said so. So this, as much as they said that this is what goes on, there are situations where they cannot dump it. And that's understandable. But and that if that's the case, then some other people should not have excuses for doing this. But if they're legally binded to do it, they could turn around and actually say, "Okay, we've done this contract. You gave us a time frame. It's a shitty beer, and you're making us sell it. You guys get to have a lot of drinks first before we put it into the public." But there's also a safety issue. If it is infected, they should not be allowed to sell it because it is a health issue. So there is some workarounds on it, but there has been cases where they've had to sell bad beer. Okay, drinking local beer isn't an obligation, it's a contract. And under the terms of that contract, brewers should be making a beer that is worth drinking. Agreed. You can make different types of beers for different types of people. You're not going to appease everybody. But if it's worth drinking, the people that enjoy that style of beer will drink it. The people that won't enjoy that style of beer won't drink it. But you make all these different types, you can appease the masses as long as it is a good beer. In Alberta, most breweries do, but some aren't. And people who point out that unpleasant truth don't owe the industry their loyalty or deferential silence. Exactly. So true. I don't get paid. I'm allowed to voice my opinion. I do voice my opinion, but I do it in a way that may or may not get me fired from breweries. It happens. Dialogue. Retrospectful dialogue will make us all better. To the critics of the critics, be thankful that Alberta's craft beer industry has reached a point where it evokes such passion. I agree. Learn to take the bad with the good. As Elie Wiesel once said, the opposite of love is not to hate, it's indifference or constructive criticism. That right there is the best article I have ever read, and I agree with a lot of it. There's some other ones that have posted some things, and I can see it. CBC went and posted the whole firing of the blogger, but didn't give another side. That kind of upset me because CBC went and posted what Graham said. They didn't give people a voice. So here's my voice. This is what I'm saying personally. I agree with both sides, but at the same point in time, I don't like what happens with some of it. I don't like the fact that we are told what we should and should not say because that's not right. That right there is something that we should be able to do, and we should be able to tell people what we think and feel of it, but do it in a constructive manner. Like the people that put millions of dollars into their breweries, we put thousands of dollars into our beer to review it so that we're able to. There's people out there that get free beer and they give good reviews because of the fact they get free beer, which is great. They also can give constructive criticism as well, but that's up to them. It's up to them on how they want to perceive it. I honestly believe if you have a beer and you don't like it, say you don't like it. If you have a beer and because you don't like it, give reasons why you don't like it in a constructive way. I've given a 3-strike rule. My rule is 3 strikes. Okay. If I've had one bad beer, I'll be like, okay, well, it appeals to the masses, no problem. This might be something, but I don't like it. If I have another bad beer from them, okay, now we've got an issue. What is going on here? Why do I not like this? If I have another one from them, I start picking them apart bit by bit because of the fact that they now have done something that really offends me. And again, I will totally call out Minhas on this. I understand they are a corporate brewery. I call them a corporate brewery. I call them a corporate industrial brewer because they're not, it does not feel like they're about the people. Tool Shed feels like they're about the people. Last Best, about the people. Big Rock, about the people. Minhas, about the money. About the cheapest way of achieving the money. Because a lot of people do still buy the macro beers because that is what they like, which is fine. They have gone the way where they can start making macro beers cheaper and more affordable for people to drink, get drunk off, and at the same point in time, feels like they can also support the alcoholism out there because they don't have to worry about the after effects. They really don't. They don't really have to worry about all this stuff. The beers that cost a little bit more money, some people may not buy as much. Um, they may look at it. The ones that cost, the ones that are these ones that cost a little bit more. This is like $5 a can. Okay, so $30 a six pack. People won't buy unless they want to have something good in a way that they don't want to get drunk. Craft beer is kind of like that. I can sit down and I will drink one or two of these and I'll be okay with that. Other people can sit down and have like the Minhas or the macro breweries and drink a shit ton to get drunk, to get hammered. I can have a 17% beer that I spent $35 on in celebration and get drunk up the same way. But it's only one beer. But I also know that I've spent that money on a fine beer or what could be classed as a fine beer. Um, for example, Smaltz Brewing. People like Smaltz Brewing. I like some of their stuff. But the one that I did not like, and people raved about it, was one of their birthday brews. And I think it was their jubilation, their 16th year, which was 16% ABV. And it tasted so horrible that me and two other people just trashed it. It was a horrible beer. I could not stand it, but it got us really drunk. At the same point in time, there's other beers that I do enjoy from them. They do make a decent beer. Minhas, again, I've tried a lot of their stuff, and you can taste how just there's no love in it. These guys put love in their stuff, so you do. If you have a bad beer or you have a bad batch, another example, Grasshopper beer from Big Rock is a great beer. Like it's a really good, solid, average beer. It is one of their staples that they use. I went and gave one of my, well, I guess soon to be brother-in-law, um, a case, and he had the Grasshopper, and it was bad. But Big Rock makes beers all the time. It's hard to tell which one can actually be bad. So you will have those occasional batches that slip through and are bad. It happens. You can't quality test everything. You can try, but again, they pump out so much beer, and their brewery is huge, and they have free. Well, I guess they've already had their last free um, tour this because of Alberta Week. Their brewery is so huge that they pump out a lot of stuff, and it's hard to QA everything, and they pump it out so fast that they have to get it out. It happens with everybody. You will have a bad batch, and if you have a bad batch, let them know. You could turn around and say, here's another six pack, here's this, here's that. But if you continue to pour out bad batches, you will be called upon it. You will be notified about it, and you will have to change something about it. So yes, there is bad breweries out there that do that kind of thing. You have to take constructive criticism with a grain of salt. You have to give criticism with a grain of salt. It's catch 22 on both sides. It happens. We all know this. And yes, the Sweet 16. Um, it was one of those ones where, like, you have to understand that we do pay a lot of money for our beers. It happens. Down in the States, Rod J's on here and chat with me, and I go on his show, and he talks about how cheap these beers are, and I shake my head. because I'm jealous. Because the same beers that are cheap down there cost an arm and a leg up here. And it sucks. It big time sucks. But we pay it because of our taxes, import laws, and everything else like that. We pay it because we want good beers. But we still, like, as a reviewer, I will still review the beer. If it is a bad beer, fine. I love beers, absolutely love beers that have a brew date and best before. So it's one of those ones where I love those ones. They have a great style. Like this one, it has on here, this goat was canned on 1/09/2016. So this is a 4-week old, wait, 1/09? Yep. This is a 4-week old can of beer. So it's still fresh. For a Bock, it's still fresh. IPAs, you're starting to have to do that as well. It's pretty much that you have to go and go with the flow. You have to understand that there's going to be a lot of things that may make it a bad beer. I've done a review recently where I actually had a beer that was over a year old, and I didn't quite fault the brewery because I opened it a year later. I would have loved to have it fresh, but it wasn't a beer that you can cellar. Yet I did. I had another one that I was very scared about that I opened 2.5 years later, and it was delicious. It was better than how it was when it was first originally brewed. I've had my fair share of good and bad beers, and I will call people out on a bad beer. I'm not afraid to. Does that make me a twat waffle? No. That makes me a reviewer, an honest reviewer. So there is good, there is bad. Graham's approach to it, I can see. You get upset, you type things out. I've done it. I've gotten so mad at people, I've done it. I am a type of person that I have to know what I've done wrong so I can help correct myself. I can help get better. If my if you feel that something's wrong, I like people to let me know. My reviews, when I do my video editing, if there's something wrong in there or I could do something better, I want people to tell me, hey, I like the review, great review, but the cutscenes were a little too jumpy. Okay, I will try to correct that. The sound was a little off. I will correct that. The music, the background music was too loud. I will correct that for next video. I love constructive criticism. It's what makes me better. So I like it when people criticize me in a constructive way, not turn around and say, your video is shit. Why? I've had a reviewer, a fellow reviewer, block me, and I've said this in one of my previous podcasts, block me, but not give me a reason. Give me a reason so I can get better. Why did you block me? What is it that you don't like about me? Is it something I have said? Is it something I have reviewed? Is it something that I have done that I can turn around and make myself better? I will take constructive criticism. Calling me a twat waffle or calling anybody a twat waffle is not constructive criticism because you don't support local beer. That is a little bullyish, but it's the way he put it out. That's fine. You can't take it back. There's been thousands of people that have seen it, but that kind of brings out the whole it feels like I'm better than you. You're not. You're another brewer that does things, and I respect the shit out of you. But having something like that said kind of makes me feel a little hurt. Okay? I'm a little hurt by that because of the fact that I have a different opinion and I may not always support local, but it doesn't make me a twat waffle. It really does not. I like the fact that we're having all these breweries come up. 3 years ago, there was all of 3 or 4 breweries in Calgary, 1 or 2 up in Edmonton, nothing in between. We didn't have a lot of options, so we couldn't support local all the time. We had to go outside where there was 85 in BC, and they were coming into our province. We had a bunch coming from Europe, so they're coming in. So we weren't supporting local. We couldn't because there wasn't enough stuff to support local. So that absolutely does not make me a twat waffle. That makes me a reviewer who wanted to keep things going for my fans, for people that watch my stuff, for people that want to know what is in the area that they can enjoy or not enjoy. So that kind of is sort of like a shitty thing to say. But it's what you wanted to say, and I got it. That's fine. I'm probably not a twat waffle because here I am, Alberta Beer Week, supporting local. Got it. But at the same point in time, I don't mind supporting local because of the fact that, yes, I know farmers that farm the barley. I know farmers that farm the wheat. I know that we have stuff inside here. I know we actually grow hops around here too, or we go outside to neighboring provinces that has hops that we go to as well. I know our water that we use is local. At least I hope it is, and that we're not shipping it from BC. I know the fact that there's a lot of local stuff, and if I support local, I will say it. Alberta Genuine Draft, all local products. It is a true Alberta product. But at the same point in time, are the breweries supporting local as well? Can you find these hops here? No, you probably cannot. So you go to BC, Saskatchewan, possibly the States to find those hops. So are you actually fully supporting local? Not all the time. So why should we fully support local as well? It's a catch 22. It really is. I'm just a simple reviewer who gets beer from a beer store that I have to pay extra taxes on that I feel pissed off about. But people like all the other stuff get a kickback because there's a government subsidy for the breweries. I don't see that. That does not translate to the consumer. We don't have cheaper beer because of this, because a six pack still costs $13. You're not going to see it drop down to $10 because they get a kickback. You'll still see it at $13 because there's taxes on top of taxes on top of taxes that we have to pay, that the brewery has to pay, and everything else. This, we will not see the ramifications of any of that stuff come back. So again, there's taxes on stuff that we have to pay for, that they get benefits for or grants for, that they get a kickback for to make better products, so that we still have to pay the same price. This is the whole thing. That's the other thing. Taxes for brewers versus bloggers. There's a lot of things that come out in this thing. So and we can't rate it off in our taxes. We can't rate off. I have reviewed this beer. Alcohol does not come off on our taxes. And that was a good point that Rod J asked. Can we rate it off in our taxes? No. This is alcohol. This does not come off on our taxes. It is not an untaxable thing. The travel I could possibly do if I'm meeting somebody. My equipment, if I go with a small business, I can write it off. But I have to show a profit of what I'm doing so that I can actually write it, or I can put it on my taxes. And if I don't within a certain amount of years, then I'm screwed. I don't get money for this. Again, I don't get write-offs for this. I have not found a way where I can actually justify a way to say that I get paid for this, because I don't. And I refuse to have someone come to me and say, I'll give you a sponsorship if you give us good reviews. You can give me a sponsorship if you want me to give honest reviews. That I might do. But as soon as you say you give us good reviews, is a very fine line between good, honest, and with honest. I can't do that. I'm an honest person by trade. I have always been that way. So yeah, honestly, I think what happened here was good, bad, and different, and it kind of sucked. It kind of didn't. There's things that could have been said better, and there was things that were said better, and I agree and I disagree with some of the stuff. Um, but for the whole blog thing from Jason, I fully pretty much agree with that because I feel the same way. I'm an honest reviewer that puts my hard-earned money that I pay or that I do my 40 hours a week at my job to go pay for a beer so I can bring a review to you. So I pay money that I give an honest review for. I will not badmouth them unless it is absolutely necessary. I will not buy their product either. I'm not touching Minhas ever again. When someone gives it to me, I have to review it, but they have to give it to me. I will not, absolutely will not buy their stuff again. The Boxer Hard Root Beer was the very last thing I will ever buy from them. I will not buy a single thing from them because I don't feel that they deserve it. Everybody else, sure. Fainting Goat or Goat Locker. I gave them another chance, and I actually like where they're going with this. They're still brewing out of BC. I like to see what they have. I want to see stuff come from the well. Um, and I want to see stuff coming from the well, like they're coming up. I want to see stuff from them. Far Brewery. I really want them to get their brewery in because I want to see more stuff coming from them. I want to see them bottle their stuff soon because I want, or can their stuff, because I would love to see their stuff on the shelves, not just in growlers. Cold Garden, I've actually got something from them. Like I do my support. I do support them, and I like it. I like supporting them, but if you're gonna say stuff like that about us, I partially don't want to do that. Like, yeah, at the end you said if you don't like this, come and have a beer with us. Sure, I'd love to have a beer with you, but I may say something you might not like. So would I be fired afterwards, or would we laugh about it? You have to take constructive criticism with a grain of salt, and I took that with a grain of salt. But when you say stuff like twat waffle, don't be an asshole, or anything else like that, some people's attitudes or their personas or their personalities can come off like that. Um, one of my reviewers, Red, his persona comes off like he's constantly drunk. He's not. He's sober as a bat, but it comes off like he's drunk. It's just the way he is. And he still gives these very good reviews of what he feels. He likes his stuff, like his Innocent Guns and everything else like that, and that's great. Stuff I won't drink, so he goes and drinks it, and he gives his honest reviews of it. He hasn't done it in a while because of things that's come up, but you may see him around again. But some people may not like him because he looks like he's drunk, but he's not. He's absolutely not. But he gives these very good reviews. You have to take social media with a grain of salt. You have to take it with a lot of different ways. You can say so much shit that will get you in trouble on Twitter, Facebook, whatever else. You're a famous person. Justin Bieber does shit and it goes public. Yes, I mentioned his name and I'm very sorry for that. I still don't like him. Okay, I just used him as an example because he's out there. Madonna posed nude in support of Hillary Clinton. Ugh. But at least it wasn't a nude statue of Donald Trump that someone put in Central Park. Just you know, it's that kind of stuff that social media is a very big thing that we all have to look at, and we have to adapt in a way that we are going to get criticized ourselves. We are going to get different things. I've lost a lot of viewers on my YouTube page because I'm not doing a lot of US beers. Fine, whatever. I honestly, if you can get the stuff down here, great. If you come up to Canada, now you know what to drink. Um, but it's a lot of different things. So I'm going to stop there on that subject. My next subject is the last. Um, Bieber might be mine. Bieber might be ours, but he lives in the States. Yeah, so does Nickelback. Anyways, um, at the same point in time, I'm gonna leave it there because yeah, there's a lot of things that goes on, but I've done this for 3.5 years, going on 4 years, and I plan to do this for a very long time. I and Celine, she's I like Celine. Don't get me wrong, I actually like her. And yes, he said as a Celine and Celine Dion. Um, I like to I like to say that there's going to be no ramifications from things. People are going to be upset with the way things have been said, and I get it. I've got one of my fellow bloggers that doesn't like what Tool Shed did, and he's upset. And I get it. I get his side because it is a little offensive. But at the same point in time, it's what I've got a cat coming in. It's what he feels, and that's fine. I've sat down with Graham and I've actually seen his stuff, and I've seen what he does. I've drank his beers, and I think they're decent. But I also understand his point of view. He's been brewing out of a shed. It was literally a tool shed that he started in, and he's made it into a very big business, or he's made it into a business, not a huge business, but a business nonetheless. But it's getting bigger. But there's also stuff that I can go around. If I really want to find dirt on someone, I could probably do it if I really wanted to. People want to find dirt on me, they could too. It happens. I get it. Um, but it is the way you perceive yourself. You have to perceive yourself that way. Now, I just want to say that I'm going to be trying to get some more reviews out. I've got Alberta Week is almost up here, and I've got 3 beers to go and get some stuff out. I have picked up some beers from Big Rock that I will be reviewing, and I will giving my honest opinion about. Um, and I mean that's going to be happening. So there's going to be some more shorts coming out. There's going to be some more. I've got to edit some other stuff, and I will be getting another review out between myself and Joe from Brew Games. Um, and it's one of those, and I've got quite a few other things coming out, so please stay tuned for all this stuff. I'm sorry I have not been able to sit down and get a chance to edit a lot of things, so that's why you're seeing a lot of shorts, because I'm trying to fill content, because I don't have the time to sit down and edit 30 hours of editing for a half an hour video, because I go through it extensively. I try to make sure it works beautifully and that there's a lot of seamless energy in it. That's why you see these shorts, these barbecue, beers by the barbecue and everything else like that. Because I have a lot of backstock that I have to work on. As well, spoiler alert, folks, we do have the 24 Drunken Days of December. I will be doing an intro for that, and that will be coming up. I did manage to turn around and get another craft beer advent calendar. And it is going to be, I'm not going to tell you which one it is, because if you don't get it in your area, you're actually going to like this one. And I'll be giving my views on it again. As I said last year, I didn't like the packaging. So they've changed the packaging around this year. It's now all bottles. There's no cans in it. So they've actually listened to the public, and they've really edited it out, edited the box and what they can do. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they have got coming up. Other than that, folks, I am going to sit back. I'm going to finish off this beer, and then I'm going to sit at that table and do a quickie. So you're going to see a quick review come up, and I'm going to sit down and I'm going to do some editing. And happy Beer Week, Alberta Beer Week to everybody out there in Alberta. Again, I'm supporting local. It doesn't mean I have to be a dishonest reviewer, and doesn't mean I don't have to support my other local, which is BC. And I will talk to you soon. Thanks again for, it's been a long ramble. I'm really sorry about that. I had some other topics, but I'm going to have to cut it there because I actually am now over an hour, and you guys have been awesome staying with me. And Rod J, I'm going to answer your thing here. I review beers from all over the world when possible, and it's about the beer, not always about the local. You're right. I watch other channels because I want to enjoy others' input and styles. And I do too. I honestly do. I'm jealous, absolutely jealous of some of the beers that people get in the States. And I'm sure people are jealous of the beers that we get up in Canada that they don't get in the States either, or other parts of the world. But it's nice to see what other people have done and are doing. I love seeing world-class beers. I love seeing all these things come together. And living in Alberta, you get over 5,000 different types of beer. So it keeps me drinking heavily, heavily. So I do have a liver on standby in the hospital somewhere, as long as my co-host didn't take it before I did, or my old co-host. So until next time, folks, I'm gonna go and get this stuff done. My time frame has now been shortened. So cheers, folks. Stay frosty. And until next time, we'll see you real soon. And thanks for joining. Have a good night.